Good morning and welcome to this morning's service. Call to worship. Lord God of Abraham, Isaac and Israel, let it be known that you are God and that we are your servants. Amen.
We come to God in prayer. Loving God, as we gather here this morning in worship, may we give the hand of friendship to all who have come here to listen to your word, and to know that all are welcome as we join in the words that your Son taught us to say. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
What a friend we have in Jesus. Our first reading this morning is Psalm number 16. Psalm number 16. Keep me safe, my God, for in you I take refuge. I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you, I have no good thing. I say of the holy people who are in the land, they are the noble ones, in whom is all my delight. Those who run after other gods will suffer more and more. I will not pour out libations of blood to such gods, or take up their names on my lips. Lord, you alone are my portion and my cup. You make my lot secure. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance. I will praise the Lord who counsels me. Even at night my heart instructs me. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest secure, because you will not abandon me to the realm of the dead, nor will you let your faithful see decay. You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Amen. Our second reading is from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 to 9. 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 to 9. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. This inheritance is kept in heaven for you, who through faith are shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honour when Jesus Christ is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him, and even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy, for you are receiving the end result of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Amen. The word of God, for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
may the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Your Jesus, my Jesus, everybody's Jesus. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. I met a couple of young Mormons in my driveway some time ago. As ever, they challenged me with questions about the concept of evil and who was responsible for countering it in the world. I gave them my stock response. Yes, I did believe that evil existed, and that I was personally, at least partly, responsible as a follower of Jesus Christ for trying to counter evil in the world where I saw it. After they left, I was aware that I'd never given much thought about the Jesus that I followed, never mind to articulate any thoughts I had. Once I did start to think about it, I recalled what Robert Burns said in the epistle to a young friend. But how the subject theme may gang, let time and chance determine. Perhaps it may turn out a sang, perhaps a sermon. But it's no singing today, it turned out to be a sermon. Jesus is not a hard act to follow. A sinless man, so a good role model. Good with children, suffer the little children to come unto me, he said. Jesus had a good relationship with his mother. At the wedding in Cana, his mother asked him to solve the host's wine supply problem, and Jesus, against his better judgment, resolved the problem by turning the water into wine. He was a wise man. Some of the most profound and inspiring words ever recorded on the big issues in the life of mankind, birth, death, sin and redemption, and forgiveness, were uttered by Jesus in conversations and parables. Jesus was clearly a charismatic man. When he was in company, he was the one who was listened to and looked up to. He was a natural leader who simply had to ask people to follow him, and they dropped their tools and did so. He had a wide circle of friends, and he was loyal to them and protective of them, to the extent of bringing Lazarus back to life on his death. No one knows what Jesus looked like. The Gospels are full of uplifting words, but neither Mark, Matthew, Luke, or John was a Walter Scott. There are almost no descriptive passages in the Gospels telling us what Jesus, his followers, or even his surroundings looked like. It's not likely he looked much like the normal image which has been presented over the centuries by artists. That's a tall, thin man of largely European appearance. Nowadays, style, outward appearance, fashion and notoriety passes for charisma. But Jesus had the strength of character, the intellect and the presence to get his message across. Over the centuries since, people like Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi and Winston Churchill have displayed similar traits. It's safe to say, if Jesus had a Facebook page, he'd have loads of followers. He has, of course, amassed millions of followers without resorting to social media. So Jesus, a paragon of virtue and the perfect example for all Christians to follow. But this is not the Jesus that I follow. I see a Jesus who could be angry enough to resort to violence, to fashion a corded whip to launch into the moneylenders abusing the inner sanctum of the temple, his father's house, overturning tables and laying into the abusers. I see a Jesus who could be sad, even desolate, disappointed when friends he had trusted let him down. The wonderfully named Reverend Jai Sparrow Simpson put it beautifully when he wrote the words of the oratorio Stainer's Crucifixion, perhaps putting the saddest words ever into the mouth of Jesus. Could ye not watch with me one brief hour? Could you not pity my sorest need? Ah, if you sleep while the tempest lowers, surely, my friends, I am lone indeed. I see a Jesus who was single-minded, even stubborn, when he told the young man who wanted to enter the kingdom of heaven that he had to dispose of all his wealth. He didn't negotiate, not 50%, not 75%, not even 95%, but all of it. So he and the young man parted company, agreeing to differ. He could seem cold and unfeeling. When his mother came to visit him, he was told she was there, but he said, "All of these people are my brothers, sisters, and mother." It may be a trick of translation, or the nature of the relationship between men and women 2,000 years ago, but Jesus repeatedly refers to his mother as woman. If I'd said that to my mother, she might well have reached for the boiler stick she often threatened my brother and I with, but never actually used. I see a Jesus who was not omnipotent. He was not even infallible. The Gospels give an extremely honest account. He cannot be accused of giving a romanticised or rosy-glowed vision of Jesus. They repeatedly refer to the fact that Jesus could not carry out miracles in places where there was a lack of faith and confidence in him, most notably in his own home area. Imagine how he, his family and friends would have felt. I know the pressure I felt when I returned to my home village as a performer singing in concerts, knowing my mother was there in the audience and being terrified that I'd let her down if the performance wasn't up to scratch. I see a Jesus too who could be frightened, terrified even, in agony on the cross, even doubting everything he believed in. "Father, Father, why hast thou forsaken me?" he cried out, and eventually, resigned to his fate, "It is finished," he said. So that's the Jesus that I follow, the man that I follow, a better man than me, but a man nevertheless. Aspiring to be like God would be a dangerous blasphemy, but we can aspire to be like Jesus, to live life like Jesus. God didn't send Jesus to save the world as something like a man, a sort of man, a kiddie-on man, not a man from Krypton with his underpants over his tights and superpowers, not a man from Gallifrey with 2 hearts and a sonic screwdriver, not a Doctor Who, a real man with some of the foibles and all of the temptations of a real man. To only see Jesus as the Son of God, who knew he was the Son of God, and who went through the pain and humiliation of crucifixion and death in that knowledge, would, I believe, not be fair to the millions of people over the last 2,000 years who have lived their life on the model that Christ sets, and yes, sometimes died in circumstances even worse than crucifixion for the sake of Christ. Your Christ might be like my Christ, or you might have your own vision of what Jesus means to you. Either way, there is no better way to live one's life than in the model set by Jesus. In a world where millions of people seem prepared to follow individuals who any self-respecting person wouldn't follow across the road, we need to be clear who we are following and why. We need to speak up and attest our faith. In a world full of darkness and fear, why should we be ashamed to own a faith that promotes tolerance and light? In a world full of poverty and war, why should we be ashamed to own a faith which promotes kindness and peace? In the words of the old hymn, and I hope I'm speaking for everyone here this morning, we are not ashamed to own our Lord. Amen.
how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of Syrian loss! The Father turns his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon his shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom.
Come with our prayers for ourselves and others. God of all creation, we come before you now with our prayers for the world and ourselves. Father, help us to be the people who we need to be on the difficult days, the caring times, the sad times, the loving times, and the forgiving times. Loving God, bring peace to your world. Give the leaders of all nations and governments the wisdom to know how to run their countries for the good of the people. Lord, so many people are homeless and without hope. Those who need healing, whether physical, mental, or families in these difficult times. Lord, as we heard in our sermon today, you sent your Son into our world as a human being, with the same feelings as any of your people in this land. But he knew what a terrible death he would suffer for the sins of all humanity. We give thanks and praise to him for the courage, pain and humility he suffered for us. Lord, let us take this message with us as we leave our place of worship this morning, and maybe to be a little kinder and more tolerant of each other. Give a smile and a kind word to a stranger, and let them know they are welcome among us. Amen.
Step along the world I go. One more step along the world I go. From the old things to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. And it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. More and more about the world I learn, and the new things that I see, you'll be looking at along with me. And it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. Travel through the bad and good. Keep me traveling the way I should. Where I see no way to go, you'll be telling me the way I know. And it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. Courage when the world is rough. Keep me loving though the world is tough. Leap and sing in all I do. Keep me traveling along with you. And it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you. Life in me, ever old and ever new. Keep me traveling along with you. And it's from the old I travel to the new. Keep me traveling along with you.
Glory be to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and forever shall be, world without end. Amen.